Have a chance to look at the minutes.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor? I don't have any comments, so I'll turn it over to you, Trish.
So I handed out the invitation. So on June 17th, will be a summit meeting as part of the strategic development plan that we've been working on. The consultant has now drafted up the core areas of focus. We'd really appreciate anybody who can attend those to participate. Also, on June 10th, I just got an email from Brendan O'Brien from BDC IDA that there'll be a workshop on the Consolidated Funding Agency program for anybody who's interested in your municipalities or anybody that you communicate with or participate with. It's basically the state's overarching grant application portal. And so the New York State ESD, Empire State Development, will come down. They come to Cortland and they give a workshop for anybody who wants to come and kind of walk through the online system, the different grants that are on it, what's new, what's changed, what the timelines are, and kind of how it works. So feel free to share with anybody in any of your municipalities if they're looking into any grant opportunities. And more information and invitation will be sent out, and we can share that up with the whole board as well on June 10th.
Where will that be?
I don't know where I think they're talking about the McNeil.
Yeah.
I think they're talking about doing it at McNeil, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know
Is
that,
that an all-day event or something?
no, it's usually just an hour. Yeah, like a noon to 1 or something, I think usually.
And also, do you want us to try to advertise the Elevate Portland for July 17th, like on Facebook for like the lead
Yeah.
voters or something of that nature?
Yeah,
Can you send me an
send it.
electronic form?
We'll send everybody this posting electronically and also the June 10th
Yeah.
meeting for the CFA workshop.
So, what if some of us can't make the June 17th? So is there going to be any way that we're going to get an update on what happens or what the outcome is, or is it being recorded in any way? Is anything happening that if you're not there, you can find out about it?
I'll talk to the consultant. We might be able to record it and like post a recording. It would be a really long recording.
Yeah, but maybe there are just certain sessions or something that you might think of as being, you could break it up into pieces or something.
Yeah. That's a great idea. We've talked about having it virtual, having a virtual sign-in option.
A
But
hybrid thing.
yeah,
They're
but
really hard.
it's, yes,
Just doesn't work.
right.
Well, they're doing it right now. We're doing it right now, but it is difficult.
Right. Yeah, so I think that's, the only other thing we wanted to ask is, how does everybody feel about, does that everybody need or want the email reminder of when the agendas are posted on the Fridays before the meetings?
Yes. Now, is that when the agenda is posted on?
The agenda is posted, unless there's outliers, and we'll make note of that.
But otherwise, it's always on the Friday. I'll just stick it on my calendar.
Can you post a link with that?
I was gonna say, put a link in your email.
Yeah.
Takes us right to it. Would you like to on it?
It's hard to type in.
County.
Oh, to make your wife do it. Now probably got a real true story here.
No, Ryder's in.
The button, she has to ride the bike.
I see.
Sure, we can, no problem.
Yeah.
I think that's everything that I've done.
Okay, do we need to introduce guests online or anything? Or we would like to, or their item comes up? See who's there.
We can,
I don't know who's there. There's a lot of people on today. Maybe we need to unmute for a second, say who they are. Can they do that?
Yep, I think they can do that.
Can they hear well enough? Because when I was online one day, you couldn't hear very well.
Brian, you're the only one that we can see who has their camera on. Can you unmute and just introduce yourselves and let us know if you can hear us?
Yeah, sure. Brian Evans, I am with Seven Brood, and I can hear you for the most part. I'll be honest, I wasn't completely paying attention since you guys were talking about some kind of online versus in-person meeting, so
Yeah.
but I can hear you.
We'll do our best to speak up as well. Bob, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, good evening. Bob Blood, GPI representing Carol's LLC on the Burger King redevelopment in Cortlandville. Reading and hearing you loud and clear.
Great. Fran?
Good evening. My name is Fran Taylor. I'm with Seven Brew also.
Paul? I think we know which one you're here for.
Yeah, I'm Paul Armedio. I'm a member for 55 Tompkins Street LLC.
Great. I think Larry?
Hi, Larry Adler, and I'm also with Seven Brew.
And then we also have a few guests here in the room. I think we all know Roy, everyone from the city. He's an official, almost like a member. And Matt?
Thank you, Bell. I'm with Our House, Your Home. We're redeveloping the Bent Hotel in Cincinnati. All right, just to remind everybody that we don't really have guests speak unless someone asks them a question, all right? So we'll do that, and I guess we can start then.
Okay, so first we have in the town of Cincinnati, an application for a special permit and a site plan review. The applicant is seeking approval of existing apartments in RH district in Cincinnati. Applicant is proposing exterior SHPO compliant renovations, parking lot improvements, and continued use of former restaurant hotel as a 10-unit multifamily dwelling. The 3-story building consists of 5 units per floor for the first and second floors and a vacant 3rd floor where HVAC equipment was installed. Parcel also contains a shed gazebo that applicant indicates will be removed. Down to the 4th paragraph, plans submitted for site plan approval according to code 715 shall address at least these elements: water supply, storm drainage, landscaping, lighting, pedestrian, and vehicular circulation. Dwellings connected to the municipal water supply. The applicant has indicated that if it is determined that a sprinkler system will be required, they'll most likely need an additional water supply line engineered specifically for that use. And I believe applicant said they're going to do the sprinkler system, correct?
It's the most
Elevated.
The sprinkler system is required the town to bring in additional water line.
Right, that's what we're saying.
So we're trying to avoid doing sprinkler systems. If we can get our the chapter 13 review and everything else, so COVID is safe.
Thank you. Is therefore recommended that if it's determined that the applicant must install a sprinkler system, the town ensure that the existing water supply infrastructure has the capacity to handle a possible additional demand. The applicant proposed paving the current gravel parking lot. It was indicated that the parcel has very little grade and that the paved parking lot will slope to either the vegetated area or storm drainage inlet that is located on the street edge. This DI is not currently shown on the site plan. It's therefore recommended that the applicant provide updated site plans, including additional detail of stormwater runoff management. There's no landscaping proposed as part of this application. No additional lighting is proposed for the building. Means of egress for pedestrian and vehicular traffic, including vehicular circulation, is not provided. Therefore recommended that the applicant provide additional information on the site plan indicating pedestrian entrances to the building, as well as direction of traffic entering and exiting the proposed parking lot. Also in code 715, the maximum gross density shall not exceed 6 units per acre. The applicant proposes 10 units on the parcel. Therefore, it is recommended that the applicant apply for and receive an area variance for maximum gross density. Also in code 715, all apartments on the second floor or higher shall have 2 means of external access. It appears that 4 of the 5 proposed apartments on the second floor do not have a second means of external access. Therefore, it is recommended that the town require the applicant to create a second means of external access or require the applicant to apply for and obtain a variance from this requirement if the current building code requirements are being met. From code 576, the wellhead protection district. In the wellhead protection district, construction of an on-site wastewater treatment system will require 2 acres lot minimum. Also in this section, in the wellhead protection district, the maximum impervious surface shall not exceed 10,000 square feet or 12% of the lot size, whichever is greater. However, code 577, non-conforming activities indicates that existing activities are not subject to the restrictions and requirements of this law and are considered non-conforming activities. Parcel is in the wellhead protection district as an existing non-conformity. However, applicant has indicated that current on-site wastewater treatment system is inadequate and that they're working with an engineer to redesign the system. It is therefore recommended that the applicant notify the town once they have received final approval from the Cortland County Health Department of the engineered wastewater system. Code 605, parking indicates that parking space shall not be less than 10 feet by 20 feet exclusive of aisles, access, and driveway areas. Applicant proposes 9-foot by 18-foot parking spaces on the parcel. The applicant indicated that they are updating the site plan to conform with parking space requirements. Code 715 indicates that off-street parking shall be provided in the amount of 2 spaces for each unit, plus 1 additional space for every 2 units. For 10 units, applicant would need to provide 25 parking spaces. Applicant has proposed 10 parking spaces. Therefore, it is recommended that the town require the applicant to apply for and receive an area variance for 4 parking spaces. Finally, this proposal is considered type 2 action under seeker, and therefore does not require the completion of an environmental assessment form. The staff recommends approval of this application for a conditional permit only. Typo there. Site permit, site plan review. Only under the following conditions. If it's determined that the applicant must install a sprinkler system, the town ensure that the existing water supply infrastructure has the capacity to handle the possible additional demand. That the applicant provide updated site plans, including additional details of stormwater runoff management. That the applicant provide additional information on the site plan indicating pedestrian entrances to the building, as well as traffic, direction of traffic entering and exiting the proposed parking lot. That the applicant apply for and receive an area variance for maximum gross density. That the town require the applicant to create a second means of external access or require the applicant to apply for and obtain a variance for this requirement if the current building code requirements are being met. That applicant notify the town once they have received final approval from the Cortland County Health Department of the engineered wastewater system, and that the town require the applicant to apply for and receive an area variance for parking space.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
That's not good. That recommendation made, okay. Any questions? Who has a question? Any?
I'd like to say that the plans look, and the artist rendering engineering, it looks beautiful. It certainly looks like it's going to be an asset to the area over there, as opposed to the building could be subject to significant blight in the entire area. Looks like a really good shot in the arm. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? I do have one wasn't sure. This is, all those apartments are existing apartments. You're just fixing them up, right? Everything really there is like a restaurant and the first floor bar or something, then apartments above is what really.
The bar and restaurant are no longer there.
Well, it's
Previous owner and fine.
but you're not really changing anything. You're just, okay, so, okay.
But just to be clear and for everyone, there's not information, the previous owner is the one that renovated it. So but the town has asked the new owner to provide detailed architectural drawings to the town. And so the applicant has provided those drawings, but we very much focused because it's, you know, and there will be conversation, I'm sure, of, you know, the new owner's responsibilities to conform to use and to regulations that were previously not
adhered to.
They
So-
ignored.
yeah, and I think that this is kind of goes along with what we discussed last month with Cincinnatus's,
Right.
you know, kind of overall like the evolution of the current board, but I think that there's going to be growing pains of trying to move in this direction. And
What he's trying to do is certainly positive. I hope they don't make it too cumbersome.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, which apartment? I think going back and asking to go back, as though it was not apartments before and upgrade it as though it is.
We treated this solely with the new items that the applicant is doing, which is the exterior renovations to be in compliance with SHPO
Okay.
and parking improvements. So that,
So,
and I think that the town is also challenged by having archaic zoning regulations that they're working with, such as the exterior means of egress, so.
all right,
That's why we try to really advise that they really pay more attention to current building code. And that's
I would say
we're all,
sprinklers.
yeah, our overall recommendations try to steer away from having building code references within the zoning regulations, because as we've discussed before, zoning regulations don't change nearly as often as building code, so.
all right. So we're maybe going to site plan, so it hasn't changed. It's right there. That's what we're looking at. All right. Then if no other questions, all in favor of staff's recommendation? All opposed? Okay, sure.
Okay. So next we have from Cortlandville.
Would you like to address the one, people online are here for? Or
I think there's people from both of them, yeah,
All right, I wasn't sure.
So from the town of Cortlandville, we have site plan review, area variance, special permit, and subdivision request. This is from Carol's LLC, which is an existing Burger King. The applicant is seeking a renovation of an existing restaurant in a B3 district. Applicant is seeking a complete renovation of the existing restaurant facade. Applicant seeking a complete renovation of the existing restaurant facade with partial building demolition to allow construction of a new masonry trash enclosure, dry storage room, and walk-in cooler. Site improvements are to include installation of a new second drive-through lane with a new canopy and height clearance bar, order confirmation unit, and menu board for each lane. The rear of the building to the west is proposed to have a new walk-in cooler storage room and outside trash enclosure. Additional site improvements include new signage and landscaping. Existing utility connections, water, gas, sewer, and electric would remain. The applicant includes a lot line adjustment to see 4,169 square feet from entity funding it called the chapel to the applicant in order to construct the additional drive-through lane. The town of Cortlandville code, number 178-36A refers to permitted structures and uses such as site plan approval. And it refers to the B2 code. Green structures and uses subject to site plan approval shall involve indoor and drive-through restaurants and taverns. That's why site plan review request. 17846 special permits indicates that any use of property in the Aquifer Protection District shall be permitted only upon obtaining a special permit from the town board of the town when the use is a development other than residential, of real property exceeding $150,000 in development cost. This parcel is within the Aquifer Protection District, therefore, applicant seeks a special permit for development within its district. Stormwater conveyance, current site conditions, stormwater is flows southerly toward the grassy landscape area, which currently acts as a small infiltration area. Proposed renovations include plans to expand and add drive-through lanes, which will encroach into the green space and reduce the amount of pervious area while increasing impervious area. The plan provided does not address this issue. It's therefore recommended that permanent post-construction stormwater quality and quantity treatment proprietary systems be utilized to address the current lack of systems. Applicant has indicated that as a matter of informal agreement, snow has been stored on the abutting parcels to the east and west of tax maps, and I should have written there, and will continue to be stored that way. Applicants indicated they've been granted permission by the chapel to apply for subdivision on its behalf, which moves the lot line 38.48 feet north along the existing diagonal for a total adjustment of 4,469 square feet added to the main parcel. This adjustment would allow space for the proposed double drive-through lanes and increase the acreage. Therefore, applicant has applied for the subdivision. Provisions applicable to the business districts indicates that any parcel of 3 acres or less created by subdivision shall not exceed 70% of lot coverage in zone 1A and 1B, 75% lot coverage in zone 2 outside wellheads. This parcel is being updated by a lot line adjustment, and it is within zone 1A. So it's required to have no greater than 70% lot coverage. However, in code 17824, it says that for any properties that do not presently conform to lot coverage required by this article, any change in size of existing building structure, parking lot, and or driveway that is 500 square feet or more shall result in a reduction of the amount of the parcel's impervious surface by 5%. This requirement will apply to subsequent alterations of 500 square feet or more to an existing building structure, parking lot, and or driveway until the site's impervious surface was reduced to meet the parcel's overall lot coverage requirement. Applicant is seeking an area variance from these requirements. There are no set parking requirements in the Cortlandville zoning law. Rather, it says that parking is as required by the planning board. The applicant's site plan shows a total of 12 parking spaces on the parcel, 10 on the east side of the building and 2 accessible spaces on the west. 23 spaces, one of which is accessible, available by way of an access agreement on an abutting parcel owned by Port to the west. Applicant indicates that there are 11 stacked spaces for the proposed double drive-through. Therefore, it is recommended that the town determine whether this proposed number of parking spaces and accessible spaces are sufficient for the proposed use. There is a proposed 2-foot concrete retaining wall by the drive-through from the southeast area of the second drive-through lane to the end of the merged drive-through lane. And then we just have a general statement that county health department requirements must be met. Code 178 indicates that all site plans must indicate provisions for pedestrian access. There is a proposed sidewalk from the building to the edge of the pavement, leading to an accessible pedestrian connection to the town right away. Article 178 guidelines enumerated indicates that exterior lighting and photometric plans should be provided to the planning board for site plan review, which indicate lighting levels and spread for each fixture. The applicant proposes 1 light pole in the parking lot to the south of the building, adjacent to the inner drive-through lane. No photometric plan has been provided. Therefore, it is recommended that the town require the applicant to submit a photometric plan for town board approval. 178 again, it must provide a general landscaping plan and planting schedule. Applicant site plan indicates 2 proposed trees on the newly created parcel, one to the northwest and one to the east, and a non-specific landscaped area behind the proposed second drive-through lane to the south of the building that merges with the first lane to the east of the building. Other non-specific landscaping is indicated as being on the southwest portion of the homestead addition to the property. Therefore, it is recommended that the town review the proposed landscaping plan before approving site plan. Applicant proposes there to be one directional sign by the drive-through, two wall-mounted signs on the building, and retention of the existing 7-foot by 1-foot pylon sign on the road. Applicant has not indicated emergency services infrastructure plans as part of the site plan. Provision for local location of fire and other emergency zones are required by code 178. Additionally, the fire district has issued commercial renovation and development information guide that specifies site plan needs, including hydrants, fire apparatus access, sprinkler requirements, fire alarm system requirements, NOx, lockbox, program requirements, and business emergency contact form. It is recommended that the town require the applicant to provide confirmation from the Cortlandville Fire Department indicating that emergency site plan needs have been satisfied. Of hours of operation, it indicates that the hours of operation are generally 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. This establishment has been opening at 5:30 as a matter of course, and the planning board may determine whether these hours are acceptable. According to the New York State Department of Transportation, any work being carried out within the state right of way will require a highway work permit. Therefore, applicant must contact the state to apply for and obtain a New York State highway work permit. Finally, this action is mixed a type 2 action of the seeker, construction or expansion of primary non-residential structure, while less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area, and an unlisted action concerning the expansion of the drive-through facilities, therefore requires the completion of an environmental assessment. The staff recommends approval of this application for site plan review, area variance, special permit, and subdivision only under the following conditions: that permanent post-construction stormwater quality and quantity treatment proprietary systems be utilized to address the current lack of such systems, that the town determine whether this proposed number of parking spaces and accessible spaces are sufficient for the proposed use, that the applicant adhere to all Cortland County Health Department requirements, that the town require the applicant to submit a photometric plan for town board approval, that the town review the proposed landscaping plan before approving the site plan, that the town require the applicant to provide confirmation from the Cortlandville Fire Department indicating that emergency site plan needs have been satisfied, and that the applicant contact the state to apply for and obtain a New York State highway work permit.
I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Anderson. Do I have a second? Second.
Stan?
Dan. Okay, people have questions? Anyone? Amy?
These parcels are individual, so they're taking property, they're moving in a proportion into where the chapel is, so the chapel has its own. So these are individual lots?
Yeah.
Pieces.
Yeah, so what does that do to the lot size for the chapel? Will it be a non-conforming lot if they take part of that?
They're all non-conforming. Yeah, yeah.
This billboard is over.
Okay.
Maybe this has a
Okay.
joke in it.
Okay.
This is out there, so
Okay.
you can split them off for pieces forever. Anyhow,
I didn't realize, I thought it was.
Yeah.
one.
No, they're all individual
Right.
lots that extend like this
Yeah.
directly out of each section. It's, yeah.
They're actually gaining green space because they had done before, correct?
No,
yeah, yeah.
it's getting turned into green space.
But they didn't have any before because all in chapels. But they're
Yeah.
chapels are losing stuff.
They're gonna have, yeah, but then they're turning, some of the green space.
I mean, the overall place is losing some, but it's all in
Yeah,
chapels.
95% of it is going to be covered.
That green space center is pretty much all just asphalt. They put dirt on it after the pro company, not where so bad.
So there's no drywall or anything in that green space, right? It just flows in the green space and stays there.
There's dirt pile on top of the asphalt. Why is it to be done?
But there, they have proposed plans for recommendations. So if I do something out there, will it even be on their property though, whatever stormwater they, did?
Those were recommendations from the Soil and Water Conservation District.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was to put in drainage, so.
Well, create drainage plan. Right now, it just goes to the next door neighbor with no, so.
Yeah, I think that should be a requirement.
Well, it's in the recommendations.
It's in the recommendations.
I do question, you said the state highway permit, they don't even work at the right of way.
And we
Like
talked,
they're not touching the right of way from what I can see.
and we talked to the consultant about it beforehand, and I think, you can stop me, Bob, if I'm wrong, but I think that you said purposely you were staying outside of the highway work permit, or the highway right away, but we just.
Well, that was the intention, whether that's gonna come to fruition or not. I mean, according to the survey, there's a section of sidewalk tangent to the right of way on our side of the property that we're connecting to, but you know, I'm sure DOT may want to take a look at that, but it's pretty minor impact.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't look like.
And they weren't 100% sure when we met, so we let that happen.
All right.
Yeah, we'll contact them either way and see what they say.
Any other questions for, I do have one interstate that says move the property line north, or the property line south, aren't they?
I think the property line is moving from here to here,
And south, right?
south.
Yeah, you do open that recommendation, but it's just in the report. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Anything else? All in favor of staff's recommendations, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Good luck with your project, Bob.
Thank you, guys. So long.
Okay, so now we have the town of Cortlandville application for subdivision area variance special permit site plan review. Applicant wishes to construct a 510 square foot prefabricated building and 280 square foot remote storage floor or slab for a drive-through coffee shop with associated site improvements. This is located on Route 13, which is right next to the mini golf.
By 8 at the
It's in the B3 district. Applicant is leasing this vacant parcel on New York State Route 13, north of the intersection of Lime Hollow Road, to construct a 510 square foot prefab building, 250 square foot remote storage cooler for a drive-through coffee shop with associated site. There would be no indoor seating or service. This parcel is currently undeveloped, owned by DL Sousas, or I forgot to. The proposed installation will require a subdivision, lot line adjustment, area variance, special permit, and site plan review. The owner of this parcel also owns a abutting tax map parcel to the north, which is the mini golf place, and proposes to adjust the lot line between these two lots in favor of the mini golf place for a new total different acreage there. So the acreage of the proposed parcel will be reduced from 3.08 acres to 2.99 acres. The town of Cortlandville Code 178 special permit indicates that any use of property within the aquifer protection district shall be granted only obtaining a special permit. And this parcel is within the aquifer protection district, and therefore applicant seeks a special permit for development within the aquifer protection district. Code 178 also indicates that in the event that a special permit is granted or granted with stated conditions, it shall be a requirement that the applicant use the best available means to prevent contamination of the groundwater of the aquifers of the town. This shall be a continuing requirement. It's therefore recommended that the town require the applicant to ensure they shall continually use the best available means to prevent the contamination of groundwater from the aquifers of the town. Also, 178 Prohibited uses in aquifer protection district, discharge, land application for disposal of any hazardous material, toxic substances, and or bulk storage of toxic substances or hazardous materials. Therefore, it's recommended that the town require the applicant to ensure that no hazardous material or toxic substances shall be discharged, applied, disposed of, or stored in bulk on the site. 178 sign placement indicates that no sign in any district shall be located nearer than 15 feet from line, lot line as measured from the side yard edge. Application does not indicate signage to be provided along the road frontage. 178 permitted signs indicates that the maximum number of signs in the business district parcel is 2. Applicant is requesting a sign variance to install 4 signs total. Therefore, it's recommended that the town review the proposed signage information, granting the area variance for maximum number of signs. Town of Portlandville Business District bulk regulations indicates that businesses in these districts must meet required setbacks. We didn't see what the setbacks were as required by the planning board. So the planning board has to determine whatever the setbacks are acceptable. This is a little convoluted, but plain commercial district, business district B3 refers to the B2 and B1 districts as the same. And permitted structures and uses subject to site plan approval include drive-through restaurants. So that's why you're seeking site plan approval. Code 178 indicates that lots or parcels located in the wetland protection zone 1A shall provide 50% green space. And this is more than met here with 74% green space. Applicants provided schematics for water, sewer, gas, electrical hookups on the site plan. Applicant is required to confirm with the town that the local power utilities have been consulted to ensure that gas and electric lines are technically appropriate and properly connected. Applicant's proposed site plan includes 2-lane drive-through beverage pickup area. It's therefore recommended that the applicant ensure the site has enough room for a vehicle queue without impeding movement on the course. 178 again indicates that the applicant is to provide location, design, and construction materials of all parking, truck loading areas. Applicant has proposed that truck loading takes place across the 2 drive-through lanes during hours that the business is closed. 178, applicant must provide a general landscaping plan and planting schedule. Applicant has provided a proposed landscaping plan. Applicant has also provided a grading plan, snow storage location, proposed enclosed dumpster location, and a phased construction plan. There are no set requirements in Cortlandville for parking. Code 178 says, as required by the planning board, proposed site plan includes 7 parking spaces, one of which is accessible according to ADA regulations. Parking on the site is intended for employees only, as there is no interior service. Therefore, it's recommended the town determine whether this proposed number of parking spaces and accessible spaces are sufficient for the proposed use. 178 also indicates provision, as it says that application must include provisions for pedestrian access. The applicant has indicated that they will revise the site plan to provide provision for pedestrian access from existing sidewalk, largely to accommodate employees taking public transportation and a possible walk-up window for pedestrian customers. 178 guidelines indicates that exterior lighting photometric plans should be provided to the planning board for site plan review, which indicate lighting levels and spread for each fixture. Applicant has provided a photometric plan. Applicant has not included emergency services infrastructure plans. Provisions for location of fire and other emergency zones are required by Code 178. Additionally, Cortlandville Fire District has issued a guide that specifies site plan needs, including hydrants, fire apparatus access, sprinkler requirements, fire alarm systems, box, lockbox, program requirements, business emergency contact form. It is recommended that the town require the applicant to provide confirmation from the Cortlandville Fire Department indicating that emergency site plan needs have been satisfied. Applicant has indicated that the proposed facility would connect to the public water supply and wastewater facilities. It is recommended that the applicant must first review and receive approval for the connection to the Cortlandville supply system by the county health. As part of the coordinating review committee, the county health department indicated the applicant must ensure that metal connections into existing water and sewer do not contain lead, install RPC backflow prevention device if needed, ensure drains for food prep sinks are indirect, ensure drains for refrigeration units go directly to waste, ensure the mop sink and backflow prevention, ensure there is a grease trap if there is to be any grease disposal. Applicant has indicated it's only to coffee and no food service. Ensure that the condenser unit of the cooler is connected to waste line. Contact the Cortland County Health Department for pre-operational inspection in order to obtain a food permit, food service, if necessary. Provide, produce a copy of workman's compensation insurance, produce a copy of disability insurance. Applicant must provide specified CCBHD. The Aquifer Protection District indicates that if there's pesticides to be used, they should meet the pest control requirements of 178.45. Health Department also recommends that the applicant check New York State Food Code for any other relevant items. Proposed site plan indicates location of existing drainage inlet in the proposed driveway and anticipated traffic of approximately 600 vehicles arriving and departing in a 24-hour period. New York State Department of Transportation indicated that any work within the state right of way will require a work permit. Applicant must coordinate Route 13 access, site plan, drainage report, and traffic analysis with the ISDOT for review and permitting. The driveway should not be at the location of an existing drainage structure. Driveway layout should meet ISDOT standard sheet for minor commercial driveway. Connection to the state's drainage system is prohibited. Stormwater must be managed on-site. Sidewalk must be continuous through the driveway. And a connection from the building to the Route 13 sidewalk to provide pedestrian access separate from the driveway is recommended. It's recommended that the town require the applicant to update the project design to meet the listed near ISDOT requirements. It's also recommended that the town consider requiring the applicant to conduct a traffic study due to the large volume of vehicles expected to be arriving and departing from the site. Hours of operation, again, are proposed to be 5:30 to 11. And the town indicates that it should start until 5:30, but the planning board, yeah, that's right. They're proposing to begin hours at 5:30, but the regulations say we can't begin until 6, but the planning board may determine whether these hours are acceptable. Code 109, prohibited acts of noise. I won't have to read all the decibels for you. I think I can read the decibels, but there are required levels of decibels that they have to be under certain times of day and from certain distances and from residences because it is adjacent to a residential area. The proposed location of bus residence and applicant indicates that recorded music is intended to be played continuously from speakers mounted outside of the building during open hours. Therefore, it's recommended that the town require the applicant to observe noise ordinances as specified in 109. The applicant's proposed stormwater maintenance indicating Code 171 indicates that stormwater, groundwater, rainwater, street drainage, subsurface drainage, or yard drainage shall not be discharged through direct or indirect connections to the community sewer. Therefore, it is recommended that the town require that stormwater will not leave the site but shall be managed on site without impacting the surrounding properties or roads. Jurisdictional applicability. Proposed project would disturb only 0.57 acres, therefore we are required to submit SWIP. Finally, this proposal is considered type 2 action under seeker because it's a non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet or gross floor area and not involving a change in zoning or use variance and consistent with local use controls. Therefore, it does not require completion of the environmental assessment. The staff recommends approval of this application for lot line adjustment, area variance, special permit, and site plan review only under the following circumstances. That the town require the applicant ensure that they shall continually use the best available means to prevent contamination of groundwater and the aquifers of the town. That the town require the applicant to ensure that no hazardous material or toxic substances shall be discharged, applied, disposed of, or stored in bulk on site. That the town review the proposed signage information before granting the area variance for maximum number of signs. That the town of Cortland will determine whether proposed setbacks are acceptable. That the local power utilities have been consulted to ensure that gas and electric lines are technically appropriate and properly connected. That the applicant ensure the site has enough room for BFQ without impeding movement on the parcel. That the town determine whether the proposed number of parking spaces and accessible spaces are sufficient for the proposed use. The town require the applicant to provide confirmation from the Cortland Fire Department indicated that emergency site plan needs have been satisfied. The applicant requested review and receive approval for the connection to the Cortland Public Water Supply and Sewer System by the County Health Department. If the town assured the applicant was comply with all Cortland County Health Department requirements, that the town required the applicant to update the project design to meet all NISDOT requirements, that the town consider requiring the applicant to conduct a traffic study due to the large volume of vehicles expected to be arriving and departing from the site. That the plan should determine whether the proposed hours are acceptable, that the town required the applicant to observe noise ordinances as specified in 1095, that the town required the stormwater will not leave the site but shall be managed on site without impacting the surrounding properties.
All right, entertain a motion from someone. Yep. We have a second. Do we have any questions?
Can you take how far the entrance of this is to the intersection at 81?
There's like right here, I mean from 281 and
Well, from A&W coming around there, that intersection there, yeah, but that's quite a corner to try and get out of 81 or A&W, even the mini golf, on the other side of the road, even that, all the.
but I think it's what's going on, they're requiring a traffic permit from the DOT, and they're probably requiring a traffic study for it, I would imagine. I don't know.
I would hope with 600
It's a-
proposed cars per day.
Yeah, they're probably gonna be on the case about it. It's really a tricky intersection, so I'm sure the DOT is gonna be.
I think that the DOT had noted that in their own list of comments from the CRC, but we also had that stated separately, just
Right.
because it is such a large volume.
And they're open till 11:30 AM or PM.
Yeah.
With music going till then?
Yeah, what's the purpose of the, am I even allowed to question that? I mean, if people are just pulling in their vehicles and there's not really a lot of pedestrian traffic, what's the point of the music? So close to a residential area.
Yeah, we can let Brian explain that. And did you hear the question, Brian? Oh, I think you're still on mute.
Sorry about that. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, so the music, is kind of low-level music that's played in the drive-through. You make your order, and then as you're sitting waiting, just got some ambient music in the background.
And will that go through till all business hours till 11 at night? Is that allowed?
Yeah, we're only open till 11, 2 nights a week. We are 5:30 to 10 Sunday through Thursday night, and then it's 5:30 to 11 on Friday and Saturday nights. But the plan would be to have that during hours of operation.
Does anyone else have a question?
The concern I had was the whole parcel is like almost landlocked. If this were to become a permanent fixture, there's a lot of land behind it that is absolutely unobtainable. Is there a possibility that this would be permanent? I mean, it's temporary structure and all, but, or any plan for the future development out back there?
So we talked to the zoning code enforcement officer, because our original question, was about what part of this parcel, was there going to be a subdivision included as part of this? And the answer was no, that the applicant is leasing a small portion of the parcel at the front, the road frontage, but the rest of the parcel is not to be subdivided. And that's why when we looked at all the regulations, it pertains to the entire parcel.
Just wanted an update on that. Oh, they did give us several different explanations, but the most recent one was they are renting, they're leasing the entire parcel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it would make a difference in stormwater management and everything else if they would have front part. And I have the comment that if you look at their own comments on the drawing C 2.1, the area coverages and percentages, then they're a lot different than what the old. percentages exceed 58%, some other stuff in it, they were curbing. And the other thing is, I disagree with your comment. If you talk to Bruce about the SWIP requirement, I believe the 10,000 acres being exceeded additional requires SWIP to be done. It always has in the past, unless Cortland has changed the way they look at their regulations or changed their ordinance. So my understanding, if you're over the 10,000 additional, which this site is, they're going to be required to do the SWIP. That's what Bruce stated on that.
Bruce didn't have any comments on the recommendations, but we can,
Double check on that, because it's always been required for every other space along 281 and 13 I've ever worked on. If you over 10,000 increased impervious, you had to do a full SWIP. And I think the way you stated it here, you forgot the comma between the acre and the next stop. So I think anything over 10,000, they've got to do it. Then the way it reads, exceptions are projects or subdivisions in less than 1 acre of land or surface, comma, and which result in an increase of impervious surface less than 10,000 square feet, comma, and which result in a total impervious surface of less than 35%. So always in the past, they've interpreted that to mean they have to do a SWIP. So I find it difficult to believe in this case they're not. But we leave that up to the local code to address. That's the way it's always been before.
we ask the applicant if there's
Excuse me?
a conversation, if they've had conversation.
I don't ever, I know it's always been required in the past for fairness, but this part, anything that's over 10,000 square feet in increase in impervious surface. And this was like 11 or 12,000.
How do you feel about us adding a recommendation? That
I would suggest that they review
Yeah,
that to see
I
if
think
it's
that's a big-
required, that's what we're requiring. As part of that last up, down stormwater,
Mhm.
now make a determination if it's what was required. Yeah, we're going to make that determination. But the way their comments work on that drawing that they've submitted, it would get two things.
So, the verbiage, if the town, recommended that the town, that the.
Tom determined whether it's what was required as part of that recommendation, the last one you had on stormwater. And see if this was required as part of the review.
Mhm. Okay.
Need a, amendment change on that. I have I make a vote.
Amend the recommendations that the including.
We have a second on that. In favor of that modification?
Aye.
Okay, then that says modified. Do we have entertain a vote then? All in favor of the staff recommendations as modified?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Motion carried.
Thank you all for joining.
Okay, thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Have other locations around the country or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably where they get the 600 cars per day figure. That's a lot. That's.
They're touristic and very.
Obviously, you know, but just don't try to vote.
Yeah.
Generic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
Oh, right. So, excuse me, this final application is the city of Cortland for 55 Tompkins Street. for a special use permit and area variances. There's a mistake on existing land use there. I should have changed that to there's a sorority house on the land. Applicant seeks a special use permit and area variances to convert unfinished basement space into habitable space for bedrooms in order to break up double occupancy existing bed. Resident density will not be increased. Code 322, residential permitted and specially permitted uses, indicates in table 313 that fraternity and sorority dwellings require a special permit. Therefore, applicant seeks a special use permit. Code 30163, additional requirements and conditions for certain uses indicates that requirements for obtaining a special permit. It's recommended that the city require the applicant to follow all pertinent codes of parts of Code 30163. Code 323, residential lot area and yard requirements indicates minimum front yards 25 feet, front yards down 20 feet. Therefore, applicant seeks an area variance for minimum front yard. Code 375, required lawns in residential districts indicates that on every lot in residential district, there shall be 4-foot vegetative strip along all required side and rear yards. There's no 4-foot vegetative strip along the southwestern side of the parcel. Therefore, applicant seeks an area variance for required vegetative strip. Code 375, required lawns indicates that 65% of all front yards shall be maintained in a vegetative state. Currently, less than 65% of the front yard is in a vegetative state. Therefore, applicant seeks an area variance for front yard vegetation. Code 323, residential lot area and yard requirements indicate that sheds and detached garages must be set back at least 4 feet from property lines. There's a back building on this parcel that is set back fewer than 4 feet. Therefore, applicant seeks an area variance for a shed and garage rear yard setback. Code 383, off-street parking indicates that required parking indicates there must be 1.5 parking spaces for every person in a fraternal or sorority organization. Current parking on the parcel has 1 space for every tenant. Therefore, applicant seeks an area variance for minimum parking requirement. Code 383, off-street parking indicates design standards for parking. Current parking does not meet design standards listed in Code 383. Therefore, applicant seeks an area variance for parking lot design. Code 394, fences involved indicates that in all districts, a fence erected in a front yard shall not exceed 4 feet in height and must maintain a maximum open to closed ratio of 1:1. Existing wall is solid rock, no openings. Therefore, applicant seeks an area variance for maximum open to closed ratio of front yard wall. Finally, this proposal is considered unlisted under seeker. Applicant has completed part 1 of short environmental assessment 1. Parts 2 and 3 would then be completed by the city to determine if there may be any significant adverse environmental impacts as a result of the piece. The staff recommends approval of this application for area variances and special use permit only under the following conditions: that the city require the applicant to follow all pertinent parts of Code 30163, which is the additional requirements for special use permit and compliance with seeker requirements.
Entertain a motion. What can we take? Let's set up the motion first, and then let me second the motion. Second by Amy. Okay, comments?
Okay, my comment is, you're moving people into the basement. And the last I knew, Porter County is very sensitive to radon. Has there been any radon testing done in the basement?
Well, that's a question of the applicant. Yeah.
There hasn't been, but if there's any radon existing, we'll mitigate it.
Okay. Right. I think that'll be part of the recommendation, that's mitigated.
We'll make that recommendation if you want.
Sure, I don't think, but this application isn't pertaining to the building itself, and that's not part of the zoning regulations that's part of the code enforcement inspection, but not part of our role for county planning board. Their zoning regulations don't get into radon testing and requirements, so I don't know if that would really be appropriate for us to be
I was kind of thinking the same along the lines of just throwing in following building code, not naming specifically, but I was concerned about egress from the basement. We did name it in the Cincinnatus Hotel as something that was needing to be addressed.
And I
It's in
think,
their ordinance though, since it is the ordinance.
mhm.
Yeah,
The zoning ordinance specifically addresses egress. This
Right.
ordinance doesn't.
All I know is that the health department was very concerned over radon contamination here in Cortland County. The whole problem was very sensitive.
John?
Now you can only be installed where radon factory exists.
I'd like,
So I think it'd be best on that.
gotcha. Yeah.
We hear from us.
So as far as the egress and building, so it's more than existing building code, more than 50% of the floor, that basement will be fully sprinklered. Mr. Arminio can contest, I've been a real pain in his rear end about making sure all those bedrooms have the required egress, sections of egress. And also there's gonna be a bunch of fire doors down there as well, and he can contest it. I've been a real pain about that, so.
Okay,
All right.
Yeah.
As far as the radon is concerned, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing it up, and I will make sure that Mr. Arminio follows up on it, because I'm not only the zoning officer in the city of Cortland, I'm also head of the code office. So, thank you for bringing it up, so I'll make sure.
I have a couple questions. The drawing indicated you're putting in new egress windows. Does that require historical people review? They're not cutting into the windows, right? They're just changing the windows down there.
Paul, forgive me if I'm wrong, using the existing windows, you're just making sure they meet the requirements, right? For the 42-inch step up and everything.
Yeah, that's what our original plan is. If any of these windows are too far gone, then we will have to change out a couple.
And you've talked to Linda already, that's what I thought, right?
Not yet.
All right, well, we'll get it by Linda.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want cutting into new ones. They shouldn't have an issue, I wouldn't think.
It's mostly interior work, so I didn't think you had to go by Linda, but I always go by her because she scares me.
I have one question, Roy, and Paul, from there. You're adding like 10 bedrooms, correct? But you're not increasing the capacity of the building. Is there because the only reason I'm asking that question is parking more than anything else. If we're not adding any new people, there's no reason to increase parking. But how do you, do you have a capacity of the building now? Say if you want to exceed that, do you list that?
Yeah, I have the existing. PCO has the total number that's allowed in there.
Whatever, yeah.
But some of those young ladies are in a room together.
Right.
And Mr. Arminio stated he's trying to break up that level occupancies, so they have more room on their own. So that's why he's expanding it. So
That's not a problem for me and Mr. Arvido at the present, because someday he might sell the place and somebody else might want to double bunk people in there.
the beautiful thing about a special use permit is it's not gonna go with Mr. Arminio when he sells it, and it's gonna clearly state how many people he can have.
Okay, so I don't know, right? Any other questions? All in favor of staff's recommendations? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you for joining, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
So, yeah, I just had one question about the returns.
Okay.
About the town program. I was just curious what that was. I know it's a subdivision. I just don't know what the rules are. And I was really sort of talking about it.
So that's the Shirley, yeah, that's Shirley subdivision. You can pull that up. So that was originally came to our office, and at the time, they were going to be dividing it into one additional parcel, which would put it over the minor and make it a major subdivision. But they reduce the amount of parcels that they're proposing to create, which then falls under a minor subdivision. They're not proposing any development. And because it's a minor, then we can do a return letter opposed to a full report that comes to the board.
Okay, I was just curious if there is a size limit for that subdivision, if you divide parcels into one parcel into three, or there?
Yes, and we can pull them out. We can pull that returns in particular.
Which one?
Yeah. Here is. Oh, that's, started it. Okay. I believe the smallest parcel was 2.8 acres. Is that 2.8 acres is the smallest parcel being proposed. So they'll also be over the minimum acreage for the health department for septic and well.
Is that 2 acres?
2.4 acres.
2.4 acres.
And, but I mean, of course, all the other parcels are smaller around the lake as well, but.
Right.
Yes, so there were no outlying, obvious things as part of the subdivision.
Originally, they wanted to put it in 4, and they changed it to 3.
Yep.
Right. Yep, thank you.
Any other comments, questions, anything else? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn then. Second, all in favor?
I.